On a cold November morning in 1970, a father and his daughters came across something they would never forget. In the rocky stillness of Isdalen, the charred body of a woman lay among scattered belongings. Many of the labels on her clothing and objects had been removed or rubbed away. A locket, a purse, and an umbrella were placed nearby, an arrangement noted by investigators, though its meaning was uncertain. Tonight, we'll follow the quiet traces science left behind and ask what they tell us and what they still do not. Our path begins where her silence first began to speak. In the bright clinical light of the Gates Institute, the investigation began with the steady, methodical work of an autopsy. Here, the body of the woman from Isdalen was examined for the first clear answers. The official conclusion was stark. She died from a combination of carbon monoxide poisoning and the effects of phenobarbital, a barbiturate. It was a pairing that pointed to planning of some kind, yet left wide gaps in understanding how those final moments truly unfolded. Her burns were severe, covering much of her front, but deep inside her lungs, pathologists found soot. This meant she had been breathing when the fire touched her body. Whether she was conscious at that moment could not be confirmed. This physical trace told a story, but not the whole one. Chemical analysis of her blood and stomach revealed between 50 and 70 Phenomale brand sleeping tablets had been consumed. In such a quantity, the drug would have left her extremely weak, likely unable to move quickly or resist if danger came. Near her body, 12 more tablets were found on the ground. The combined presence of heavy sedation and evidence of breathing during the fire raised questions that were not easily answered. Did she take the pills herself, or were they given to her? And by whom? There was another troubling detail. The autopsy reported bruising around her neck, marks not caused by heat. They might have resulted from a fall on the rocky terrain, or from a blow. The report could not decide. The possibility of another person's involvement hovered, but could not be proven. It joined the growing list of facts that resisted tidy explanation. One final procedure set this case apart. Because her dental work was unusual, distinct patterns and fillings likely to match a dentist's record somewhere, her teeth and parts of her jaw were removed for preservation. This was a practical choice for identification, but it came with an unintended consequence. Without those physical markers in place, and with burial decisions made later, future identification became harder, not easier. Even in death, parts of her seemed to be slipping away. The autopsy assembled its findings with calm precision. A woman breathing while burning, sedated by a massive dose of sleeping pills, carrying unexplained bruises, and leaving unique teeth now separated from her remains. Yet, even lined up together, these details refused to confirm whether the end was self-inflicted or the work of another hand. Those preserved teeth, kept aside for decades, would one day hold another kind of message, a quieter one, written long before her final hours. Imagine holding a single tooth in your hand, knowing it has kept a record of someone's earliest years without a single word. Within its layers, formed slowly through childhood, are the stable patterns of atoms that never change. They carry traces of the water a person drank, the food they ate, and the ground those things came from. It is not like reading a name on a page, more like catching the outline of a faraway place, carried quietly through time. In 2017, scientists studied the teeth and jawbone of the Isdal Woman using stable isotope analysis. This method examines natural variations in elements like oxygen and strontium, absorbed from local water and food as we grow. The isotopic signature stays locked in the enamel for life, creating a kind of geographic fingerprint. The results suggested she was likely born around 1930, plus or minus about 4 years. Childhood isotope patterns most closely match the region around Nuremberg, Germany. But the chemical record also hinted she did not remain there. Shifts in the isotopes suggested she moved as a child, perhaps to France or the France-Germany border area. These were not guesses, but the quiet record her own body carried, even if it could never offer exact names or dates. Her teeth also revealed another layer of clues. Investigators noted dental work that was far from ordinary. Techniques and materials pointed to multiple possibilities, some consistent with Central or Southern Europe, others with South America, and some with methods used in parts of East Asia. Gold caps, root fillings, details small enough to be overlooked, now stood as markers of possible travel or treatment in diverse places. Taken together, they spoke of an international life, but not one that could be plotted with certainty. It is important to remember what these findings can and cannot tell us. Isotope results allow investigators to narrow down likely regions of childhood residence. Dental techniques can hint at where treatment may have occurred. Neither can reveal a person's nationality or name. These are outlines, not portraits, and like all outlines, they leave wide spaces uncolored. When investigators added handwriting analysis from her notes, those spaces shifted once more. The style and letter forms matched what is often taught in French-speaking regions. Combined with the isotopes and the unusual mix of dental patterns, a picture emerged of a woman who had moved through places shaped by distinct languages and cultures. You might imagine these strands stretched across a map, lines from Germany to France, others curling toward distant coasts or across oceans, each one belonging to her, yet never quite meeting in the center. Science had restored a faint sense of where she began, but there were still deeper traces waiting in her body, written in a different kind of code. In every cell is a record so small we cannot see it, yet it holds threads of ancestry stretching far into the past. For the woman found in Isdalen, this record was revealed through her mitochondrial DNA, passed only from mother to child and unchanged except for the slow drift of generations. In 2019, scientists determined she belonged to haplogroup H24, a maternal lineage most often found in Southeast Europe and Southwest Asia. It was a regional clue, narrowing the origins of her maternal line, but not her individual identity. The limitation was clear. Mitochondrial DNA traces only the maternal branch of a family tree and cannot provide the close genetic match of a full DNA profile. It offers a broad map rather than a pinpoint, leaving the search for her name still open. That same year, attention turned to a newer tool, genetic genealogy, the method that had changed the course of cold cases elsewhere. The DNA Doe project, known for restoring identities to the long unidentified, reached out to the investigators. Colleen Fitzpatrick, a geneticist with the group, offered assistance in attempting to trace her through genealogical methods. Here, the process is simple in idea. Upload an unknown profile to large commercial DNA databases, find genetic matches with living relatives, and use public records to build family trees inward until a possible identity emerges. In many cases, this has linked decades-old remains to their names once more. But in Norway, there was a barrier. The DNA from the Isdal Woman remains under police authority, and it has not been approved for entry into the databases most used in such work. Legal and ethical concerns about privacy, consent, and the potential reach of such searches mean that before her DNA could be tested in that way, a formal decision would have to be made. The question is not only whether it could help, but what it would mean if such a step were taken. Beyond official investigations, her case has drawn in people around the world. The Death in Ice Valley podcast has told her story in measured detail, inviting listeners to share what they know. Some messages have brought small, unexpected leads, vague memories, family stories, coincidences worth noting. Others have been set aside after patient review. Even without a name, the search itself has become shared across borders and languages. Somewhere, the material that could confirm who she was may already exist, in a database, in a drawer, or in someone's memory. Whether it will be found, and how, depends not only on science, but on decisions about the boundaries we set for its use. And so, for now, we are left in the pause between what might be possible and what will be allowed, as her silence waits in the shadows of time. Decades of careful forensic work have built a clearer outline of her final moments. Evidence shows she likely died from a combination of phenobarbital poisoning and carbon monoxide inhalation. Isotope testing suggests she was born around 1930 near Nuremberg and moved in childhood to a French or border region. Her mitochondrial DNA places her maternal line in Southeast Europe or Southwest Asia. At the time, authorities recorded a verdict of likely suicide, yet unanswered questions and other theories have persisted.